Hey everybody, happy Friday. Stephanie, I don't know about you, but I'm really sick of talking about the I was going to say the X-Files. The the Epstein
That's
files.
kind of what it's turning into, the
I know.
X-Files, this mystery. Did they ever exist? Yeah, I'm sick of it
Exactly.
too.
Yeah, but at the same time, there are a few things that I want to bring up, especially like we talked on Friday. Not, my God, I can't even keep track of the days. On Wednesday, I mentioned how Trump's latest narrative is that the Epstein files are a hoax created by the Democrats.
Hmm.
And when he said that, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck are you doing? Right. But he's sticking to this story. And like he's made several more comments about it. And now all I'm seeing in the media is reports that he's trying to cover it up and say it's a hoax because he has some kind of nefarious relationship with Epstein and they're about to drop some bombshell news. And I guess now Trump is threatening a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal if they publish some letter that he allegedly sent to Epstein that Trump says is fake. And so I don't know what's going on, but I do want to bring up this video clip from yesterday because a reporter was asking Karoline Leavitt about Trump's claims that the Epstein files are a hoax during a press briefing. And I want to know what you think of her response because if this is like accurate, then I can see his point with what he's saying.
Forward to signing them, and he looks forward to the signing ceremony this afternoon. So thank you for being with us today. Sure. Jackie. Thank you, Caroline. There's been a lot of discussion about the Epstein files and the president's comments yesterday calling it a hoax. Can you clarify which part of the Epstein hoax is the hoax part? The president is referring to the fact that Democrats have now seized on this as if they ever wanted transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, which is an asinine suggestion for any Democrat to make. The Democrats had control of this building, the White House, for 4 years, and they didn't do a dang thing when it came to transparency in regards to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous crimes. It was this president who directed the Department of Justice and the Attorney General to do an exhaustive review of all files related to Jeffrey Epstein, which they did. The Attorney General and the FBI, led by Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, these are great patriots, some of the most trusted voices in the Republican Party movement. It's part of the reason the president appointed them to these high law enforcement positions. And they spent many months going through all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and they concluded what they found in that memo, which they drafted and they released. And so the president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats and the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about. The president has been working so hard this week. On Tuesday, he went to Pennsylvania, where he secured $90 billion in investments for the Commonwealth, for the people of that state. After that, he came back to the Oval Office at 8 p.m. He went in there to whip votes to get the Genius Act signed into law. And because of his efforts, that bill is now going to be signed and passed. The following day, yesterday, he meets with a foreign leader, the King of Bahrain, to secure more investments into this country. And then yesterday afternoon, the president is in the East Room of the White House mourning with parents who have lost their children because of fentanyl, signing a bipartisan piece of legislation. And not a single cable network in this country took that event live and covered that event like they should. Those are the issues the president cares about. What could be more important to the American people than helping families who have lost their children? Those are the issues this president is going to remain focused on.
Okay, what do you think?
First of all, I just love her. I love how
I
direct
know.
she is. She's like, they didn't do a dang thing. But it's true. Like the Biden administration did nothing with this over the last 4 years. And I stand by what I said before. If there was anything having to do with Trump that would make him look bad, that would have come out. I mean, think about it. They went after him for not giving documents over to the archives library. Like they were really grasping at straws. So don't you think if there was some link to Epstein, they would have used that to destroy him. So I think I get what she's saying. Like all of a sudden the Democrats are going to act like this is the biggest news story ever when they could care less about it before because, it was involving Democrats and they didn't want that exposed. Um, but I was thinking about it and, you know how everyone's saying like he campaigned on this, like he promised that he would release the Epstein files. I could be wrong, but like I remember vividly when he was asked about this multiple times with the Epstein files, he was like, I'll consider it or I'll look into it or yeah, I might do that. But I don't remember him like explicitly saying he was going to release them. I think it's more like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were so freaking adamant that Epstein did not kill himself. And I think them just completely flipping with no real explanation is why people are so pissed off. And then Pam Bondi going around on the, Fox News and everywhere else saying she's going to release stuff like the next day and then not releasing it. I think that's where I get pissed off, at least.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. Again, the narrative to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I do agree with what Caroline Leavitt said. And there are so many other things going on. And we're actually going to talk about a couple of those today because I'm kind of done with the Epstein shit for now, except I do want to play this other clip because we talk a lot about polls and how we think polls are really not an accurate reflection of America and we can't trust them. But in the midst of all this Epstein drama, there was a new poll conducted by YouGov and The Economist, and it revealed that 67% of Americans do believe that the government is covering up Epstein evidence, and 79% of Americans want all of the Epstein documents released. And this was pretty bipartisan with the results across the board. So, again, I don't think this shit is just going to magically go away, but it may not actually be hurting Trump at all because I came across this very interesting clip from CNN yesterday. And I was honestly shocked because this was talking about another poll and it was like results related to Trump's approval rating in the midst of all this negative backlash that we're seeing on pretty much like every platform in relation to the Epstein files. And I'm just curious how accurate this poll is. So I'm going to play the clip.
This morning, President Trump trying to turn the blame on, surprise, Democrats for the furor surrounding the failure of his DOJ head to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Trump is also blasting, though, some of his own fervent supporters for continuing to call for those documents to be released. CNN's Harry Enton joining us now. I guess the question here is this whole saga with Epstein having any impact on Trump's approval rating overall when it comes to the grand old party?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this one surprised me a bit because of all these complaints online going after Trump and the Epstein files. You might think his approval ratings were going down, Republicans. If anything, they're going up. Republicans who approve of Trump, look at our CNN poll. The prior one, 86%. The one out this week, 88% were Republicans. How about Quinnipiac? The prior poll, 87% approve of Republicans. This week out, 90% with Republicans. If anything, Donald Trump's approval rating has gone up since this whole Epstein saga started. He is at the apex or close there too in terms of his popularity with Republican voters, Epstein files, complaints or not.
You just proved that not everything online is real.
Yeah,
in real life.
Who knew?
Amazing.
Twitter and X are not reality.
Is there any reason that you can find that this hasn't taken hold and hurt him?
Yeah. I mean, on X, all you hear about is the Epstein files. But how about out in the real public? Republicans who said the top issue was Epstein case. The answer is one, and not 1%. One responded. This is a great little finding that Ariel Edwards-Levy, who of course is part of our polling unit, found. Just one single Republican said that the nation's top problem is in fact the Epstein case. Not much of a surprise that therefore Donald Trump's approval rating has not suffered with Republicans because of the Epstein case. Because the bottom line is most Americans say it's not high up on their priority list.
Still, congressional Democrats have been trying to seize on this. You hear them also parroting what you're hearing online, saying release the files, this is terrible, blah, blah, blah. I mean, is that working for them?
No, I mean, look, here's what's so important. You know, we talk about the potential of Republicans leaving Donald Trump. They're not leaving him. But what about congressional Democrats and problems with their own base? Democrats' net approval of congressional Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University, in June of 2025, it was their second worst ever at minus 12 points. Is that not low enough for you? How about we go even lower? In July of 2025, minus 13 points, their worst net approval rating for congressional Democrats among Democrats ever. Donald Trump is not the one who has problems with his political base. It is congressional Democrats are the ones who have problems with their own political base. All right, Harry Enton giving us all the numbers. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I love how she's like, you just proved that not everything online is real. And it's like, okay, online and in the media, because
Great.
people have been saying the same damn thing that you're blaming is just coming from online.
That's what
So,
it blew my mind. It's like, that's fucking CNN. You're like leading the movement in fake news.
yeah, I know. But I mean, the irony, right? It's like everything they do, it's just hypocrites. But anyhow, I think I am honestly not surprised with those polls because, when you look at the whole Epstein thing, it's like, is it disappointing how this played out? Sure. But does it personally affect Americans? No. Like, is it my top issue? Do I think the country's like going downhill if the Epstein files aren't released? No, not really. It pisses me off. I feel like people are getting away with stuff that they shouldn't, but it's not like in the top list of what's wrong with this country and what needs to be fixed. And when you look at it, like Trump is winning on the things that actually affect Americans. He's delivering on the core issues that the people voted for. Our borders secure, our economy's doing well. So I'm not really surprised with the polls, and not to mention, kind of like what she was saying, most of what we see with all of the anti-Trump rhetoric online and in the media is nothing but a big theatrical performance. And remember the guy that we interviewed, Adam Swart? He came on our podcast and he had that like crowds on demand company. Well, he told News Nation that his company was offered $20 million to recruit for this like anti-Trump national rally that I guess was supposed to take place on July 17th. I don't know if it did or not. If it did, it really didn't get much coverage that I could see. But anyhow, his company was offered $20 million to get people to go to this anti-Trump rally. And I guess the group that was behind it was called Good Trouble Lives On. So anyhow, he said he rejected the offer because he just felt like it would be ineffective. But I mean, think about this. The fact that people on the left are willing to pay $20 million to stage an anti-Trump rally just
Mhm.
goes to show how so much of what we are seeing, whether it's on the media, online, these protests, it's all fake. It is all fake. These aren't even just paid protesters. These are like entire movements that are bought and paid for to try and sway public opinion. So
Yeah.
I'm not buying it. And I think the Epstein thing, yeah, it sucks, but is it going to like ruin Trump? No.
Well, what's funny is like even Nancy Pelosi was saying like the whole Epstein drama is a distraction. And she was interviewed by MSNBC yesterday. And she's like, there's all these issues in Congress that need to be voted on. And instead, everyone's talking about Trump and Epstein, and it's all just a distraction. And of course, her comments were coming from the perspective of Congress needs to focus on stopping Trump's legislation, rather than focusing on the Epstein files. But I think she's right in the fact that there is like more important shit that we should be focusing on.
That's what my husband tells me this all the time. He told me this with Epstein and with the P. Diddy trial. He's like, you like people get so swept up in it and they it's all you hear. And what are they doing? Like while you're over here focusing on this, what are you doing? And at the end of the day, no one's held accountable. And it's true. It's like Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are the only people that were convicted of anything. Diddy is the only one convicted of anything, and he'll probably get out fairly quickly. And so, yeah, I'm starting to think that's true. It is one big theater performance. Like we said, it's just with using the media to get us all riled up while they're doing something over here on the side.
Yeah, well, on the subject of Congress, that clip that I played from CNN, they referenced the Quinnipiac poll. I hope I said that right.
I
Quinnipiac?
think you did. Yeah,
I
good
think
job.
so. Maybe.
I would have screwed that up.
But Fox News also reported on this poll, and this was released yesterday. And it showed that only 19% of registered voters approve of how Democrats in Congress are handling their job. And this is like an all-time low for Democrat approval ratings since this Quinnipiac poll started asking this question back in 2009. And according to the poll, 72% of Democrats or people disapprove of how Democrats are doing their job, and 10% had no opinion. So it's very clear like there's a problem with the Democrat Party. But I do want to point out that the numbers for Republicans really weren't that great either, because it was only 33% of voters approving of Republican congressional performance and 62% disapproving. So it makes me think that most Americans agree that Congress is a useless clown show theater performance, just like we always say it is.
Yeah, I think most people have caught on to the fact that Congress really doesn't do anything for the people. Like, I'm fully convinced they are only interested in enriching themselves. They're all bought and paid for. Are there a couple good ones here and there? Sure. But is that going to make a difference when the vast majority of them are just bought by lobbyists? Like, no. Um, the other thing about the polls that I was thinking is like, there's no one else lined up that people can rally around. And that goes for both Republicans and Democrats. Like there isn't some star candidate waiting in the wings to take the spotlight off Trump. And I know Newsom wants to be that guy, but no one's really getting excited about Newsom. And I think that's why this Mamdani guy in New York for the mayor race got so much traction, because the left has like no one else that people can relate to. It's all a bunch of washed up, corrupt career politicians. And the same goes with the Republican side. And so after Trump, I don't think most people want to go back to choosing between two mediocre career politicians. And as for Congress, like I've pretty much given up hope. I mean, there's very few that I trust, and the few that I do trust, I think they're being swayed very easily. So it really sucks, but it's nice to see that the masses are waking up to this.
Yeah. And okay, another thing that was mentioned in one of the clips I played, I think it was Caroline Leavitt's. There was an act being voted on in Congress. I don't know if they're done yet or not, but it's called the Genius Act, and it's related to crypto regulations. And I've mentioned this before. I don't use crypto. I don't know shit about digital currency. I don't really understand any of it. To me, it's like fake money. But I came across this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking to Steve Bannon. And this was yesterday. And it piqued my interest and it got me a little concerned. Okay. This is kind of a long clip, but I want to play the whole thing because I think it's worth listening to. And I want to get your take on this.
Let's start with the Genius Act. I'm very confused about the Genius Act. I thought there was a deal made by the president to make sure that included was going to be the central bank digital currency. There'd be no possibility of a backdoor to get that. So where are we? Steve, let me explain something. In 1971, we went off of the gold standard. The Federal Reserve did that. And we went to cash, a cash society. And the value of the dollar has drastically gone down to the buying power is less than 10 cents now from where it was in the 1950s before we went off the gold reserve. What's happening today on July 17th in 2025, when no one is paying attention, no one's talking about it, everyone is in blind rage about the Epstein files, and I don't blame them. However, right now, what is being voted on today in Congress is the entire setup, groundwork, and entire infrastructure being laid to move from cash to digital currency. And the number one thing that is not happening today is a ban on a central bank digital currency. This means the ability for the government to take control of your digital bank account where all your money is and turn it off. And this is why I'm so upset and it's not being talked about. Steve, I was the only no vote on the rule last night, and Congress set a record last night, and no one's talking about that either. This was the longest vote held open for a rule in history, and it finally shut down sometime around midnight because there was a deal made, and the deal will not be honored. It was a deal that Speaker Johnson made, and he said that he would put a ban on central bank digital currency in the NDAA. But let me tell you something, that's going to get stripped out in the Senate because what they told us all week long is the Senate does not have the votes to pass a ban on a central bank digital currency. So I want to lay this out straight for you all. You never thought in your lifetime that the government would shut you down, would close your churches, would close your schools, would close your business. And that happened only a few years ago. But what is happening today is the groundwork is being laid, and it's all in the name of cryptocurrency and stablecoin. But it is the entire regulatory process to switch us from cash to a cashless society to digital currency that can be controlled by the federal government. And there will be no ban on a central bank digital currency. There will be no way to protect your ability to fully control your digital currency in the future. And I'm voting no to this today. I don't know if there'll be any other no votes on the Republican side, but I'm voting no to this because I'm a Christian and I've read the Bible and I believe what Revelations 13, 16 through 17 says. And I just cannot vote for a future system that will do that.
But it's okay, hang on. But I thought at one time you had a dozen or maybe 25. You had the House Freedom Caucus plus others that are saying, hey, we don't support any possibility of having a central bank digital currency. A lot of them are concerned about things in the Genius Act overall, but they're prepared to, say, we'll let that go forward. But they're adamant about the central bank digital currency. Where are all the other dozen, 20, 24 people that were with you?
They remain concerned. Don't get me wrong. My colleagues remain. I'm not in the Freedom Caucus, so I'm going to lay that out right there. My colleagues remain concerned about a central bank digital currency. As a matter of fact, that was expressed as a concern by Republicans in every meeting that I was in. But yet there was no massive effort on a large scale to stop a central bank digital currency. It's just this. They were saying, we've got to deliver. The president wants this passed. We didn't even know about the Genius Act until Monday, but they're saying we have to have this passed. He wants a signing ceremony on Friday. He wants this done. And they're willing to push it forward without guaranteeing and passing on the front end. My demand is let's do this on the front end. Let's stop the central bank digital currency first, and then let's pass this stuff. But no one is willing to do that. They were willing to make deals that I don't believe will hold because we were told all week, Steve, by everyone that a ban on CBDC, central bank digital currency, will not pass in the Senate. There are not 60 votes for that. So by Johnson putting it in the NDAA and saying this is our effort to get it to pass, it doesn't mean that it's going to pass in the Senate. They're going to gut it out. We watched them do that with the BBB. They're going to do it with Clarity, the other Bitcoin, the market regulatory bill that will pass today. They do this all the time, and the House constantly gets jammed. And here's one thing that really makes me angry, Steve. This was a closed rule. Johnson did not allow us to make amendments to the Genius Act, to make an amendment to put a ban on CBDC in the Genius Act. We were told you don't have a right to amendments. You don't get to do your legislative process anymore. You just have to vote on it. And they forced it through, making what I think is a fake deal. And I wish the Freedom Caucus had held, but they didn't. They want to work and they want to pass the president's agenda, and I do too. But I'm not willing to go along with the pathway to a central bank digital currency in a cashless society where none of us can control our money. Because I don't trust the government, and no one else should trust the government. And just because this administration is committed to that doesn't mean that a future administration will not lock down our bank accounts if we are not doing and saying what they want us to do. We've already been there. That was the past 4 years. I don't want to ever go back to that, and I don't want that future for my children, Steve. And so I am upset today. I'm adamantly no to this. And I wish I had more Republicans standing with me.
Okay.
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there, but I just want to say something really quick. What shocks me, well, it doesn't shock me, but what pisses me off more than anything out of what she said was that they didn't even know about the Genius Act on Monday. And yet
Right.
they're supposed to vote on it. And this is the whole problem with Congress that Mike Johnson and the Republicans swore up and down that they were going to change, where there would be ample time to look at these things in depth and debate and have discussion around it. And that's just, I have not seen that happen yet. And it's a big red flag for me when they try to quickly pass something through that you don't fully understand.
Yeah, and apparently it was passed by the Senate yesterday it was like a 68 to 30 vote. So this is a little concerning to me because I asked our GPT, like, is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, are her concerns about this impacting financial freedom and sovereignty, is this just ideological or are these valid concerns? Because I think they're valid. And our GPT agreed. It said that her concerns are legitimate. And I just want to read what it told me. It said valid concerns behind the rhetoric. Number one, expansion of centralized control and surveillance. The Genius Act empowers banking regulators and federal banking agencies as the primary overseers, excluding the SEC and the CFTC from stablecoin issuance. Critics like Americans for Financial Reform warn that this framework lacks strict consumer protections, could allow commingling of reserves, and even facilitate sanctions evasion by malign actors. The absence of public clarity over the composition of regulatory bodies, like the bipartisan Treasury-led committee, stokes fears of unaccountable decision-making over digital currency issuance. Number two, and this is the one that bothered me, big tech and financial sovereignty. This bill permits non-bank and even big tech firms, potentially Amazon, Meta, X, to issue stable coins via subsidiaries. There's a potential shift of power where corporate issued money could track user spending and reinforce platform dominance, expanding the surveillance enterprise into personal finances. Number three, systemic and taxpayer risks. Analysts argue the act doesn't correct for previous stablecoin collapses, nor does it offer any type of FDIC insurance or redemption guarantees. Users would be highly susceptible to bankruptcies and taxpayer-funded bailouts, and consumers are exposed to weak oversight. Senator Jack Reed, I guess he's a Democrat from Rhode Island, argued that it opens venues for criminals, terrorists, and rogue governments to finance their illicit activities while offering no margin for amendments or stronger protections. Is this true government overreach? Not yet, because there are no mandates for CBDC implementation within the bill, and it doesn't create a federal digital dollar. The act also doesn't empower spying, but critics worry that oversight from centralized regulators and big platforms could open privacy backdoors even without explicit surveillance language. So, yes, while Marjorie Taylor Greene and Steve Bannon's framing is ideological, the core concerns are materially valid. Centralized oversight could erode financial autonomy, big tech involvement could turn personal money into digital data streams, and insufficient safeguards may expose users and taxpayers to significant financial risks. If your priority is true financial sovereignty, privacy, and protection from systemic collapse, these are not fringe worries. They're grounded in specific bill provisions.
Okay, first of all, I agree. I think these are all valid concerns, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute because let's go back to what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. We're in a cash society and they're trying to switch us to a digital. No, we're not. We have not been in a cash society for years. And I think COVID was when that really changed. Because remember, like during COVID, it was like, oh, we're not taking cash because there's germs on cash.
Yeah.
And all these businesses now you go in and like there's a million ways to pay digitally. You can hold your phone up, you can tap your card, but you can't use cash. And so I think we switched from that a long time ago, and we're kidding ourselves if we think we still live in a cash society. Um, were
You
you going
know
to say?
what? I know I was going to say it's funny you say that because I didn't think of that perspective and you just reminded me like even living here in the Czech Republic, when I first moved here, if I wanted to take the bus, I could pay in cash. But over the last year, they've transitioned away from even using cash. So you
Mhm.
cannot ride the bus unless you are paying with like your credit card or some kind of digital payment system.
Yeah. It's funny. I was at Publix the other day and I walk out and there's these adorable boys. I think they were like trying to raise money for their football team or something. And they're like, "Do you want to donate?" And I was like, "Yeah, do you take cash?" She's like, "Yeah, we have the Cash app." And I was like, "No, I mean like real dollars because I can hand you cash." And he was like, "Oh, I think we could take that." It's just like, it's really, that's how our society is. You don't give your friends money anymore. You Venmo them or you Cash App them.
You're right. And I literally just quickly looked this up. I just asked our GPT, are we really in a cash society right now? And it said, not even close. It said over 80% of US retail transactions are now cashless, driven by credit cards, debit cards, mobile apps, and digital wallets. Cash use has plummeted. In 2023, only 18% of purchases were made with physical currency, and that number continues to shrink. The Federal Reserve itself has reported an ongoing decline in cash usage for everyday purchases, especially among younger Americans. So,
Yeah. And all that cash has not been backed by gold since, what did she say, 71, when
yeah.
Nixon took us off the gold standard. And so I remember people talking about this. Um, I don't know, it was a while back, but they were saying how, like, all these banks, they say, "Oh, yeah, we're FDIC insured. So, like, your money's safe with us." They said if we all decided, because people were trying to organize this, where, like, on the same day, everyone would go and, like, withdraw money. And they were like, if you try to do that, like, if everyone tried doing that, you would not get your money because
Right.
it isn't backed by anything. And this FDIC guarantee is bullshit. Like, if everyone did it, like they'd be screwed. They would not be able to give everyone their money. And even now, like if you go to a bank and you try to take out a large sum of money, like just go try and do that and see what they tell you. They're going to give you a hard time about it. You're going to have to wait. There's going to be a whole process. So like I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just saying like if we think things are not in that direction already, like
Mhm.
we're wrong. And okay, when you were talking about big tech, how like this would permit, Amazon, Meta, X, whatever, to issue these stable coins and then they could surveil your personal finances. I think they're surveilling a hell of a lot more already. Just like we talk about this all the time. Like you'll be on Facebook and you'll be thinking about something and you get an ad for it. Like
Mhm.
I guarantee they know so much more about us than we realize. And it's out there. Like they're already surveilling us. And so anyhow, I just wanted to like put that perspective because I've thought about this before. Like when people say that, I'm like, I can't even think of the last time I used cash. We're really not in a cash society. It's not, it's already changed over. I think COVID was like the biggest shift. So I think when it comes to this whole thing, and this is where it gets so confusing. So I'll try to put it at my level because I'm really dumb when it comes to this stuff. Like I'm having the hardest time grasping it. You have to look at like, do the benefits outweigh the risks? Just like with pharmaceuticals, do the benefits outweigh the risk of the drug? And the benefit of this would be it bypasses the banking system. So it would allow you to access your wealth anytime instantly. So like if you want to go and withdraw all your money, you're not dealing with a banker like questioning you and saying, "Well, we can't do that right now. It's going to take a few days." You can get your money instantly without any middleman. It's borderless, so like you could travel throughout Europe and it doesn't matter because you're not dealing with all these different currencies. There's no wire transfer fees. There's no lag time. Like you do not have to wait 2 business days or whatever it is, 2 to 3 business days to get your money. So that I think is a big plus. I mean, I'm not happy with the banking system. We've bailed them out how many times? Like, so that's a good thing, right? And then here's the other thing that I don't understand. When Bitcoin and like all this stuff started, the whole thing behind it, the whole idea and attraction to it is that it's decentralized.
Mhm.
So, like, you have control of your wealth. You don't have to go through a middleman or anyone else. Like, you have it, you control it. But here, like, I feel like what they're doing with this bill is trying to regulate it and control it. Like, they're making it not decentralized, they're making it centralized. And so that's why I don't get why all these, like, crypto people are so for this, because I feel like it's kind of breaking the whole reason why they started this in the first place.
And why is Trump so for it?
Well, that's the other thing. To me, that's a big red flag. I think he had to get the crypto people on board to win this election. We saw him like very late in the campaign go to these crypto conventions. Um, because there's I mean, a lot of young men, like the whole population of young men are into this. So I think he needed that really to get votes. But it's like, what did he commit to? And I think pushing it through this quickly, where they don't even know about the bill on Monday and they have to vote on it later in the week, that's a big red flag. Like, I don't think that that's something we should just brush off. And so here's like the big risk, which you laid out, right? Like this, the if nothing else, the one risk that I care about is that this could easily switch into a surveillance state tool to control us. So if you look at what happened with like the Canadian truckers, remember they had their bank
Oh,
accounts
yeah.
shut off?
Yep.
And then look at China. China already has this. They already have a central bank digital currency, and they've linked it to like health data. They've linked it to the social credit score. So if you do something that they don't like, you can't access your wallet. And I've seen videos of people talking about this. Like, I haven't been able to buy groceries because of whatever reason. You said something bad about the government. And like this one girl, she was like, my uncle now and my brother, now their wallets are shut off because they gave me money for food because I needed to eat. So, like, it's happening already in China. And I know that's an extreme example because their government is, well, we think it's so much different. But when you look at what happened during COVID, are we that different? Like,
Right.
imagine this was in place during COVID when the government was pushing these vaccine passports. All they would have to do is link the vaccine passport to your wallet, and you don't get the vaccine, well, then you're not accessing your wallet. You can't shop at any of these stores. You can't, you know what I mean? Like, that would have
Yeah.
been, they could have done that overnight, and then we'd all be screwed. It's like you either get the vaccine or you don't have your money.
That's where this stuff scares me because like I guess I can understand Trump's perspective of like, he wants us to be the leader in everything. That's why they're pushing the AI agenda and the crypto and everything. But that's under the Trump administration. And my fears are what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Like, what happens with the next administration?
Right.
What happens when someone, wants to control people who aren't going with the program?
Well, that's the thing. I think this could be used in a positive way and to help generate wealth and opportunities and all sorts of things when you have someone that cares about those things. But then if you get another Biden in that wants equity,
What if you get like Mom Donnie in? Like
yeah.
someone like we'd be fucked, completely
And
fucked.
let's be honest, that's where the Democratic Party is headed, to
Right.
socialism. So you really want a socialist to have access to your wallet so they can say, like, hey, you're making a little too much compared to this person. So we're just going to even it out and like make it fair for everyone. And those are the risks. And so back to what I was saying in the beginning, because I'm like, aren't we already in a cashless society? Yeah, we are. But the one good thing about having a middleman, like AKA the banker, is they're preventing that from happening because they're not going to let the government just like take over people's accounts because they would go out of business. You know what I mean? So the middleman is like preventing that, but you take that middleman out of the picture and now there's no barrier. And I guarantee, like, all you need is one bad actor. And it doesn't even have to be the president. It could be Congress. We just saw the
Right.
polls. No one trusts Congress. Well, you're okay. You're going to hand them your wallet then. You're literally handing them your wealth, all of your
Yeah.
wealth. It will all be tied to this. And so, what I think is this is just bringing us one step closer to this whole one world order agenda where there's one digital currency and that is controlled by the elites. And
Yeah.
why Trump is on board with it, again, like there are some red flags with him that are making me a little bit nervous. Like, why are you doing this? I understand you had to win the election, which means you had to make some promises and you had to kind of get on board with crypto. And I get that, but I don't like how this is being rolled out. And so the other thing I want to address is Steve Bannon was asking Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, okay, but this Genius Act, it has these other bills tied to it. And one of the bills is called the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act. And this would ban the Fed from issuing accounts or financial services directly to individuals. So this would mean like they would not have direct access to your account. So this would prevent like that whole like they can take over and shut your money down. So I
For
saw this and I
now.
was like, right, right. Because I saw this and I'm thinking, we know the freaking theater performance and how it works at this point. Okay. So here's what's in that bill. Um, it forbids the issuance of a central bank digital currency without Congress's approval. So all you need is for them to throw this into one of those mega omnibus bills and boom, Congress just approved it. And as you said earlier in the polls, no one trusts Congress. So this is nothing but, oh, we're promising you we'll do the right thing. We all
Yeah.
know they're not going to do the right thing. Number one. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene said this doesn't even matter because the Senate will just strip it out of the bill before they vote on it. So either way, like this is one of those things that's like, oh, for anyone nervous, we have your back. Don't worry. When really it's meaningless. And again, like that's the whole process of how this is unfolding seems very sketchy to me. And I don't trust it. And I don't think that they're going to do the right thing. They haven't done the right thing. And on the flip side of all of this, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. I think that
Oh,
we're trying to prevent the inevitable. And the inevitable is that we are going to have a central bank digital currency. And I think that what will end up happening to get the American public on board is AI, right? Like AI, there's going to be all kinds of shit happening where passwords are being stolen, accounts are being emptied at banks through AI hacking. And that is going to be when they'll say, hey, we have to do a CBDC to keep your money safe. And don't worry, like this is going to keep you safe and secure. And that is how they're going to get it pushed through without everyone flipping out.
yeah. And that's
So
scary.
it just sucks because it's like, I don't think there's a damn thing we can do. And you
No.
just said it passed, right? So,
Yeah, it passed the Senate. I don't know if I'd have to look it up and see
which
if
is
that
weird because wasn't
provision.
she saying they were
Yeah.
going to vote on it in the House? Or
Well,
maybe they just had to.
the House voted on it yesterday, and like I know Trump wanted to sign it today, so I think as soon as it passed through the House, it went to the Senate, and they passed it very quickly.
I mean, just let's just think about this for a second. Okay. In 1 week, Monday
Yeah, it
through
was the same
Friday,
day. The same day. Yeah.
Monday through Friday, they just passed something that is going to completely change our entire financial system. No one
Yes.
even knew about it because why? Because we were all distracted with Epstein,
Yep.
something that really
Exactly.
doesn't affect us. Like, this is wild. And this is, think about all the things that Congress does not get accomplished. This just proves that, like, if they want it done, they can get it done and they can get it done quickly,
Yeah,
you
this
know?
is crazy. And I was looking up, it said that now there's like a 12 to 18-month rulemaking phase to finalize like implementation of regulations. So,
Okay, and see back to my maybe someone that's into crypto. I need to talk to some crypto person because that's what I don't get. The whole thing with digital currency, it was supposed to be like there are no regulations, there is no government involvement. It's the people. The people create it, the people use it. We don't need the middlemen or the government. And now I feel like they're
is
changing
there
that.
anything in our lives that the government doesn't control?
No,
I mean, let's be honest.
no. And that's
Nothing.
my big question is like, why is Trump like, what has he gotten himself into that he is pushing this? Like, this is an elite, this is like a World Economic Forum agenda item.
Yeah, okay. I asked our GPT, I said, why does Trump want the Genius Act so badly? And its answer was Trump aggressively pushed for the Genius Act because he sees it as a fast track to control the booming stablecoin market, and it aligns with his goal of making the US the global leader in crypto. But then Trump also has like his own crypto, doesn't he?
Hmm. He does, Elon Musk does.
Yeah. So
And
I,
maybe like I feel like I have to know more about
he's
it because maybe this is like the American dollar, right? But you can still get Bitcoin or the Doge coin or all the different things that don't have the government involved.
it also said Trump favors private stablecoins over CBDC, claiming the latter threatens personal finance freedom.
Okay. So like maybe that's the thing. There will be, just like we have the dollar now, but people also have crypto. You can still have your different private crypto,
Yeah.
but then they're also going to have like a government one. I don't know. We'll have to see more, but either way, to throw all this in a 1 week thing when they didn't even know about it on Monday is
Right.
sketchy.
Yeah.
It's sketchy. And to keep everyone like, and now I'm thinking, okay, this whole Epstein drama, did they like purposely create this? Like, I mean, the Trump administration, keep everyone busy so they don't freak out when we pass this. And then when this passes, then we'll, release some Epstein stuff.
Maybe.
Makes you question everything. I don't like this. I don't like these chess moves.
No.
Okay, so if that didn't throw you off the deep end, I've got something that definitely will, okay? Because that's not all that Congress has been up to this week. So on Tuesday, a House subcommittee, the Interior and Environment, held a markup and vote on something called the Pesticide Liability Shield. Have you heard of this, Tara?
No.
I haven't heard of it either until this week, thanks to our friend AJ Richards. Um, so they voted on this and it passed out of subcommittee. Okay, so it didn't like pass in the House. It was a subcommittee. Now it's going to go on to the full committee and then the House floor. And we all need to pay attention to this and everyone needs to call their congressman. It's going to make your blood boil, okay? The pesticide liability shield is a legal protection mechanism that would block individuals, states, and farmers from suing pesticide manufacturers, even if the pesticide caused harm, as long as the label was approved by the EPA. So if a pesticide has an EPA approval, like a label, then under this shield, companies like Bayer, Syngenta, or Monsanto could claim immunity from injury lawsuits. And this would include cases where the product causes cancer, neurological damage, even birth defects. It would include cases where the company knowingly withheld internal safety data. It would include cases where pesticides damaged crops, livestock, even water sources. So basically, no matter what the damage is, no matter how bad it is, you're screwed. You cannot sue them.
So this is the pesticide version of the COVID vaccine?
Yes. Yes. It is literally, they took the vaccine liability shield and they're slapping it on the pesticide companies, which, by the way, they're all the same. They're all the same.
Right.
And I'm going to get to that in a second. So state courts or laws that would normally hold these companies accountable get would be overridden by federal law. So right now, like different states, they have protections against pesticides. That would all go out the window, and it would be up to the EPA. And I don't know about you, but I don't trust the EPA because the EPA is bought and paid for by these companies, these pesticide companies. So think about like back when, and I know we've talked about this before, when the EPA was formed, ever since then, have we gotten healthier? No, like we have more toxins now in our environment with the EPA than we did before they were a thing. I mean, I feel like they have done nothing to protect Americans from being poisoned, whether it's in our air, our food, our water. I do not trust them. And so let's just look at the shady history of the EPA approving chemicals that were later proven to be deadly, like DDT and glyphosate. And so who's pushing it through? Well, the Uniparty, obviously. The Uniparty is behind this because you have big ag lobbyists that give money to big ag Republicans and corporate Democrats, and it's the Uniparty. And they're all enriching themselves and throwing us under the bus. And so this would this is like designed to preempt lawsuits, including all of the lawsuits against Bayer for Roundup. Okay, so I did not realize this, but Roundup and glyphosate, same thing. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup, which has been linked to non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which, by the way, there have been over 170,000 lawsuits claiming that Roundup caused cancer. It's like the biggest lawsuit in history of how many people have brought this forward. All the pending lawsuits would be dismissed if this went through. So you're dying or your relative died from cancer from Roundup. Too bad, like case closed. They've settled nearly 100,000 cases already and paid out $11 billion. So I don't think Bayer would be paying $11 billion in settlements if it wasn't in fact causing cancer. And by the way, don't you love how Bayer is a pharmaceutical company, okay? They're
The
creating the
aspirin,
problem.
right? That's like Bayer aspirin.
Oh, it's so much more. Yeah, you think it's aspirin? Just wait, okay? So they're creating the problem because they have these cancer-causing chemicals, right? Why are they creating the problem? So they can sell you the solution, which is cancer treatments, okay? Bayer, Bayer just happens to have a robust oncology portfolio. They have multiple approved cancer drugs, and then they have several that are in clinical development to be approved. They have a blockbuster cancer drug called Nubeqa, if I'm saying that right. And that drug alone made nearly $1 billion in 2023. So you know how I said they paid out 11 billion to these people? Just with one drug, they'll make that up easily. And they've got like a whole pipeline of these drugs. In fact, Bayer has 34 oncology projects that are in clinical development, and they plan on reaching $10 billion in cancer drug sales by 2030. So that is, how is this not a conflict of interest? I don't know. But if their chemical Roundup gives you cancer, you will not be able to sue them if this pesticide liability shield passes the House and the Senate. And so it's not there yet, but it is going to be there, and everyone should be paying attention to this. I mean, and this is, we're just talking about Roundup. Like, if there's this shield, what do you think these companies are going to do? They're going to go wild, and they're going to pay off the EPA to slap a label on who knows what. And so, like you said earlier, this mimics the vaccine liability protections. And it's just like, I feel like we're going in the opposite direction of what we were promised with this whole MAHA movement, you know? And by the way, like, this isn't just me saying it could cause cancer. Like, there's no argument on it. Okay. The stuff is toxic. It is known to cause cancer. They've paid out lawsuits. Like, it's this, there's no question. And so what I would do, what I'm going to do, and what everyone should do, just Google your House reps and your senators and make sure they know that they are not going to get your support in the next election if they vote yes on this. Like this is insane. And so with the whole Maha movement, right? Like RFK, one of the biggest things he talked about was glyphosate. He's been super outspoken. The whole Maha movement has. Part of the Maha movement is this group called Moms Across America, and they went and tested like all of the cereal brands, the stuff that you feed your kids, yourself, like brands that have been around forever. They found that 90% of them, including the ones that are labeled organic, had high levels of glyphosate, high levels of the chemical that causes cancer. So, like, it's on just about everything. That's what RFK was saying. They spray this stuff on like all these fields, and whether it's labeled organic or not, like, it doesn't really matter. You're not safe from it. And so it affects you. Like whether you realize it or not, if you live in America and you're eating the food here, it affects you. Whether you're buying organic or you're buying regular, it doesn't matter. It affects you. So I think that we all need to be talking about this and make sure that this doesn't pass. Like this would be so bad.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned earlier, you were talking about, the EPA, and we don't trust the EPA, right?
Yeah.
But guess who's heading up the EPA's pesticide office? It's a former pesticide lobbyist, this guy named Kyle Kunkler. So this has to be part of like, he's got to be part of, keeping this from moving forward because if you look at the power of big ag and the farm lobbyists, and maybe I'm about to sound contradictory because I just argued against government overreach with the Genius Act and like crypto regulations, but that's the argument that big ag is making when it comes to like Maha Commission's plan. I guess their plan is supposed to be rolled out in August that's going to focus on phasing out more food dyes and additives and focus on these environmental chemicals. And there's over 250 agricultural organizations and the Farm Bureau that have filed complaints that farmers and their perspectives are not being included in the MAHA planning. And that, especially when it comes to the pesticide issue, they're saying that, I mean, again, the EPA, they're saying that the studies that are in RFK's plan are ignoring decades of EPA safety findings on glyphosate. And they're saying, if there's this regulatory overreach from the government, it's going to impact not only farmers, but also consumers because tighter pesticide regulations could raise food inflation by over 150%, and it will reduce farm yields and undermine consumer confidence and cripple production because, pesticides are necessary for ensuring food security and affordability and public safety. But it's like you just saying that 90% of cereals have a cancer-causing drug in them?
High levels of it. Yeah.
That's insane. Like
Yeah. I
absolutely
mean,
insane.
anything that comes, in a box basically from like a wheat product is what I'm understanding has glyphosate in it. And here's the thing, because that's what I saw too. And that's why I was like, I'm surprised AJ Richards is like against this because if you're a rancher, like you just, does this hurt the farmers? But no, like this is not saying that the government is going to regulate more. Like literally, this is just saying if this goes through the liability shield, individual like we cannot sue the big company that creates the cancer causing product that also sells the cancer drugs. Like that's all it's saying. It's not saying you can't sue the farmers. You could sue the farmers all you want. They don't give a shit about the farmers. This is them trying to protect companies like Bayer from more lawsuits. And if they're making money, billions of dollars from cancer drugs, do you really think they're going to do the right thing and not spray this shit that gives you cancer? No.
Right.
It's like this is evil. Like when we talk about the war with good and evil, this is freaking evil. And I get it with the government regulations, but this is not putting more regulations. This is simply saying if you get cancer, you can sue them. And if this goes through, you won't be able to sue them. States cannot sue them. No one can sue them. They are free to do whatever the hell they want.
And the only time that that makes any sense is when they have something to hide, just like with
Right.
COVID.
Just like with
So,
all the vaccines.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's what makes me so mad is like I was so hopeful with the Maha movement, and then they try to pull something like this that just would go completely in the opposite direction. And I hope it doesn't go through, but the only way it's not going to go through is if these congressmen and senators think that they're not going to get voted in again if they pass it. So it needs to be like everyone needs to be talking about it and telling them you better not pass this. So there's that. I do have some good news with the Maha movement, or at least I don't know. I think it's good news. Hopefully it's good news. Um, but Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, I have been speaking to Coca-Cola about using real cane sugar in Coke in the United States, and they have agreed to do so. I'd like to thank all of those in authority at Coca-Cola. This will be a very good move by them. You'll see it just gets better, or it's just better. So I saw this, and for me personally, like I got super excited because I used to work at Coke, and so I know about this stuff a little bit. And have you ever had a Mexican Coke, Tara? Like the one that comes in the glass bottle?
I have. Yeah.
It's so much better, right? Or at least I think it tastes
I
better.
don't like Coke. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
But
like
it does taste different. It tastes
yeah. They use cane sugar in Mexico, and I think it tastes better, but like also that's one of the big things RFK talks about too is the high fructose corn syrup, and I think it's linked to so many health issues, and that it's totally different from sugar. Like your um, blood sugar like levels spike so much higher with high fructose corn syrup, which is something I found out. But anyhow, when I worked at Coke, I asked like, why are we selling the good stuff to Mexico, like the real sugar, and we're using the shitty like high fructose corn syrup here? And it was like, because it's cheaper. Like they
yeah.
just do it because it's cheaper, because of money, of course. And so this seems like so small in comparison to the pesticide issue, but at least it would be something a little bit better. Although this morning, um, oh, I forget who it was. I think either Megan Kelly or the Morning Wire or one of them, they were trying to reach out to Coke to confirm this, and no one from Coke has confirmed this. So then it made me think, is this another one of Trump's like moves that he does where he announces something publicly to kind of push them to it? So I don't even know if it's for real going through, but I hope it does.
It wouldn't be that hard to do. Like,
No, they're already making the product.
yeah. And that's why I'm really interested to see what comes through with these, regulations that come out in August with the Maha movement, because there's supposed to be like even more bans on artificial dyes and preservatives and all sorts of shit. And, like we say all the time, they do this shit in Europe, so there's no reason why they can't do it in the United States.
Yeah,
So we'll
exactly.
see. I'm going to switch gears for the last story for us to talk about today because I can't help myself but want to talk shit about California. And we have talked a lot about California's failed high-speed rail system. I think I did almost an entire podcast one day on that. But it's been 16 years in the making, and it still hasn't laid a single track, even though it has cost taxpayers like billions and billions of dollars. And the Trump administration finally announced that they are going to pull the plug on the funding, and they're going to revoke $4 billion that was allocated for this project. And so I just want to play this clip from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. And in the beginning of the clip, it kind of goes through different newscasters talking about the high-speed rail, and before each one it flashes like a different date, so like starting back in 2010, and so you'll kind of listen to that progression, and then you'll hear from Newsom himself before we hear from Sean Duffy. But I thought this was very amusing.
The estimated costs that have shot up from $33 billion to $43 billion.
The project is estimated to cost $68 billion.
A new report shows California's high-speed rail project is costing taxpayers more than $3 million a day. The LA Times reports the budget has grown to $77 billion.
The cost for the project, though, has jumped to nearly $128 billion, much higher than the $33 billion voters approved in 2008.
The project is no longer a $33 billion project. The project's years and years behind. The project's wildly over budget. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea, but it is a bad idea not to be truthful about things.
Gavin Newsom is a bad idea, and so is California's high-speed rail boondoggle. It's now projected to cost $135 billion. For that price tag, we could give every single resident of LA and San Francisco almost 200 free flights. This is the definition of government incompetence and possibly corruption. That's why we're pulling the plug. No more federal funds for this high-speed train to nowhere. President Trump and I won't help Gavin Newsom waste your money.
Okay, so in the context of there's this ongoing political drama between Newsom and Trump, especially with the recent ICE riots in California. So it probably seems like this is kind of vindictive on the part of the Trump admin, right? But this decision was actually based on a Federal Railroad Administration compliance review that happened last month. And I had never heard of the Federal Railroad Administration, but it's basically like the accountability arm of the Department of Transportation. And their whole purpose is to ensure that federal funds for rail projects are being used lawfully and efficiently, that they're meeting deadlines and project milestones, that they're following safety, environmental, and operational regulations, and that they're delivering on what they promise in these grant agreements. Well, obviously, in the case of California's high-speed rail, none of these conditions are being met, right? So the most recent 2025 FRA compliance review flagged all of this shit. Clearly, the significant delays, if nothing's been built in 16 years, escalating costs with the original estimate of $33 billion now being at $135 billion. And obviously, they've missed milestones and there's questionable completion timelines because, again, nothing has been done. So based on these results, that's why Duffy ordered the immediate termination of the rest of the money. So, of course, Newsom is claiming that this is illegal and politically motivated. And he told the media yesterday that Trump wants to hand China the future and abandon the Central Valley. So the state of California is planning to sue, of course, but along with that, they're seeking private investment to try and complete the railroad. And my first thought was, maybe you should have looked into private investment in the first place instead of doing nothing but wasting billions of taxpayer dollars for the past 16 fucking years.
This guy, like the nerve of this guy, you have not laid a single track, but you're saying that you're going to sue because they're not going to continue giving you funding when like literally nothing's been done. You know, it's like I feel like he owes everybody a complete accounting of like how much has been spent and what did you spend it on? If nothing's been done, where has the money gone that you've gotten already?
Yeah, they've built like tracks to like lead up to putting in the tracks and shit like that, but they've not built any of the actual high-speed rail track. It's such a fucking shit show.
And how do you go over budget by $100 billion?
Right.
Like 100 million, let alone 100 billion. I mean,
but how, and even more so, how do you go over budget by $100 billion with nothing to show for it?
Nothing to show for it. Just like how he got $23 billion to fix the homeless problem in California. And yet 25% of homeless people are living in California still. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of this story. And I only saw this in one article, so I cannot verify that this is true or false. But I saw this article that came out. I think it may have been in the Daily Mail or something like that. Yeah, think it was the Daily Mail. And it was like showing a clip of there's a one of you know how they have all those like robot delivery things where
Yeah.
they yeah, well there's one apparently it's called like Serve Robotics and there was like a video of them testing one of their delivery robots and they reportedly, allegedly, the company bought like dummies that they laid out on the sidewalk like homeless people so that the delivery robots could like maneuver around like, simulating maneuvering around homeless people on the sidewalks while they were doing all these tests. Only in fucking California.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, how is he going to run for president? What has he accomplished? I,
Running
anything?
his state
Is
into the
he even
ground.
saying he's accomplished anything? Because I don't really hear him
It's
saying
the
much of
California
anything.
model. He's always talking about the California model.
I turn prisons into resorts. It's the California way. Oh my God, what a shit show. Well, I'm glad they're pulling the plug on that funding. It's about damn time someone does. But yeah, okay. Well, that's a lot more going on than we thought. Like
Yeah.
every, just the Epstein stuff, no, there's way more going on, and we got to pay attention to this stuff. So I'm gonna keep tabs on the whole pesticide thing. I'll keep everyone posted. But thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.